Speaker, and I'm pleased to rise in the House today to speak to Bill 193, Door-to-Door Sales Prohibition Sales Act 2016. I want to start off by congratulating and thanking the member from Etobicoke Centre for introducing this bill, a bill, Speaker, that I fully support. If passed, this bill would introduce legislation that would ban the sale, lease, or rent of specific products at a consumer's home. Under the proposed legislation, air conditioners, water heaters, furnaces, and water treatment devices would be prohibited. And a provision would also be included, allowing the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services to add more products to this list if necessary. And Speaker, if a contract were to violate the proposed ban, the contract would be found to be void and the offender could be fined substantive amounts ranging from $500 to $2,000 for individual offenders and from $5,000 to $25,000 for companies that were found to violate the law. Fine, Speaker, that would increase with the increase in the number of offences. There has been quite a bit of attention given to this bill since it was introduced by the member from Etobicoke Centre, and as he so rightfully said, has received quite a bit of media attention as well. But Speaker, this is not a new issue or a recent issue. I recall knocking on doors in my riding of Davenport in 2011 and hearing about the frustration and embarrassment of constituents that felt as though they had been taken for a ride by door-to-door salespeople. And I heard about the same frustration and embarrassment again when I knocked on doors in 2014. And since being elected Speaker, I continue to receive calls, emails, and constituents in my office urging that something be done to address door-to-door sales. So I am pleased with the introduction of this bill by my colleague, MPP Baker, member for Etobicoke Centre, that if passed, would help tackle the issue by banning door-to-door sales of products. While this is an issue that goes across all ages, it's alarming to see how often door-to-door salespeople target those who may be more vulnerable, take advantage of them, force them to buy products or services at skyrocketing rates, and lock them into contracts with monthly payments and no way out. As you know, Speaker, I represent the riding of Davenport, which is home to a large senior population and home to many immigrants and newcomers. It is home to many who speak English as a second language and home to many new homeowners, all of whom are particularly vulnerable. It is many of these people that fall prey to the unwanted salespeople or marketers at their door, marketers that use misleading, aggressive, and high-pressure sales tactics to entice innocent Ontarians into bad contracts that take advantage of consumers. But Speaker, if this bill is to pass, there would be no room for bad contracts or law contracts. The bill would include additional penalties as well. If a consumer has already paid for the product, a refund for the total cost would need to be issued. If the product purchased needed to be replaced, the seller would have to reimburse any cost incurred in replacing the product. If a refund is not issued, the consumer may take legal action and would be entitled to receive double the amount paid under the contract. And if legal costs are awarded by the court, the legislation would also ensure that it covers the incurred legal costs. If Bill 193 is passed, the consumer will be protected from any cancellation charges or any other penalties if the contract is found to be void and no further legal action can be taken against the consumer as a result of cancelling the void contract. The proposed bill has been welcomed by many nonprofit and charity organizations or groups, some of which are here today, and I will name them: the Public Interest Advocacy Centre, the Consumers Council of Canada, and the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, better known as CARP. Wade Poziomka, Director of Policy and Litigation at CARP, is quoted as saying, and I'll start the quote, "The measures proposed are stringent, but ultimately necessary to protect our members, some of whom have been taken advantage of time and time again by putting their trust in those who are undeserving." End quote. Speaker, since the introduction of this bill, I have had a petition in my office that has been signed by many of my constituents in Davenport requesting that this bill pass. My constituents feel passionate about this bill and urge me to support it. So, Speaker, I fully support this bill and encourage all members of this House to do the same so that we can pass the bill through committee and protect those vulnerable to the predatory practices of door-to-door salespeople and marketers. Once again, I thank the member from Etobicoke Centre for bringing this bill forward. Thank you, Speaker.